Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Welcome to the Monday call. Got any questions, concerns, make sure you type those in. We can address them. So next thing I want to talk about is a resource. We have so much stuff on the website, and a lot of times people forget what they already knew. So one of the things that people forget to use is our PR piece. And so we have a letter that you can send out to newspapers prior to doing an event, and also a 3-minute PR video that we shot. I'm going to play that for you here because a lot of people don't even realize that we have this available. There we go. Like, I'm here to talk to you about getting lucky. No, not that kind. I know some of you think it, but no, that's not kind of lucky I'm talking about. I'm talking about getting lucky on your relationships, on how you make decisions about your health, and how you make decisions about your money. We're going to actually come up with just some rules that you can use to make better decisions when it comes to probability, when it comes to chance, that will make you luckier in all the decisions that you make. So one of the things we talked about we wanted you to do when you came here today was have a little brain boosting, right? And what are the kinds of things that are going to make our brain younger, make our brains more healthy? One is to be in a social situation, right? Are we in a social situation right now? So that's going to help. Another thing is, have you heard that laughter helps that? So hopefully we're going to have a little bit of laughter. Also learning some new things. Does that help? Yep. And then also looking at things from a different angle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flash words up, and I want to see which one of you will say the word quickest. So when I flash blue or red up, I want you to say red. So I want to see who says it faster, okay? Ready?
Yellow. Yellow. Green. Red, green, blue, yellow.
And this is where I want to demonstrate that our brains get kind of stuck, and I want to see if we can get them unstuck. When I put a word up here, I don't want you to read the word. I want you to read the color that the word is painted in.
Blue. Blue. Yellow. Yellow. Red. Green. Red. Blue.
So how did they do the first time versus the second time? It's better the first time. So let's see if we can all get this one right. So which ones of these are the human? Which one of these are the computer? 7 and 8 are the human, right? Because they're all what? Evenly spaced. But random events are what? Can random events even look like a question mark? Sure. Okay. So now you're smarter than the bankers, mortgage brokers, the financial advisors, the realtors that are supposed to be geniuses when it comes to this stuff. When you flip a coin, what's the chance of being ahead? 50%, right? Does that change? See, but okay, so when we flip the next coin and it comes up ahead again, what's the chance? How about the next time? But see, eventually, after you've flipped 10 heads in a row, what do you start to think? It's got to be what? And does it? No. Random means the chance is still what? 50-50. So what you find is that in reality, 200 coin flips, 96% of the time you're going to have a string that's 6 or longer, and 99% of the time you're going to have one that's 5 or longer. Dean, pick a card, and then I'm going to guess what card that is. So when can we use that, guys? When can we use that 3-minute PR piece? Now, first of all, that's the generation right before the outside the box. Let's take your brain for a jog. Now we use outside the box. But is it still the same general format, guys? Is it still the same general format? What's it about? So let's get some answers. I want to make sure everybody's on board here. Having fun. That's right. Having fun, brain being younger, etc. Now, so does it matter that it's the same? I mean, does it matter that it's slightly different than the outside the box? We're using it for, it's all right, Rick, brain teasers. So it doesn't matter whatsoever. Now, does it matter that I'm presenting it versus you guys presenting it, for using it for a PR piece? No, it doesn't. Because all you're going to say is this event is being used by advisors across the country very, very successfully. So you just use it as that. So who can we use this 3-minute? Now this 3-minute, you would have gotten it in your box when you first joined us. You got a DVD, but it's also on the website, and you can download it from the website, as well as a letter to send to your all the news outlets. So we've had guys use that letter and this 3-minute video and had newspapers put on the front page advertising your event for you. I mean, we had one guy had over 100 people come just from the newspaper, so that cost him nothing, and the newspaper put in there almost like an article encouraging people to come to his event. So please make sure you do that. Now, obviously, you can only do that every once in a great while because they're not going to put that in there every 3 months or so. But you can use that on an occasional basis. But where else can you use this 3-minute video? Where else could you use this 3-minute video? Let's see some ideas. Website, yeah, Trevor, I agree with that. Yeah, website, yeah, absolutely. Centers of influence, that's right, that Barry. Centers of influence, CPAs, attorneys. Could you use it with your churches? Could you use it with Rotary? Could you use it with adult education, Jeannie? Exactly, adult education classes to show people what the type of thing you're going to be presenting. So this is a great little 3-minute thing that you can send to people, letting them know that you're the same as everybody else out there or different than everybody else out there. That it's an event that people would want to come to or people wouldn't want to come to. So I just want to make sure a lot of people I've talked to in the last month or so did not even know that existed. So it is on the website, and if you look in your initial kit, it's you have a DVD of it as well. Make sense? Any questions on that before we go forward?
And just to clarify, on the website, it is underneath Outside the Box 2014 Magic, and then it says PR Notice. When you click on the PR Notice, you'll have the opportunity to download the file there and see the press letter that Mike was just talking about.
Super. So let's see. Okay, no questions on that. Good. So then we've talked about this before. What if in the first 30 minutes you get a client to say, any advisor doesn't make sure your power of attorney works as a lousy advisor? And then they say, my advisor purposely used the wrong form to make money on me when I'm dead and then wants to do the same thing with my kids. And it says, my advisor only cares about making money on me, my needs, and my family. There's totally an afterthought. He's all about his paycheck. If they say those 3 things in the first 30 minutes, what are they going to do? What are they going to do, guys? Move. But how much? When are they going to move? Yeah, move all of it now. Exactly. So that's at the 20-point checklist meeting. And so if you haven't checked out of the big 3, now I think we've got almost half the people have checked out of the big 3, which is terrific. But if you haven't checked out of the big 3, you're the other half. Make sure you're scheduling times to meet with Jeff or myself to check out of those big 3. Because if you get a client to say that, they're going to move everything. Now that's at the 20-point checklist. But what if in 75 minutes somebody tells you, I need to see you for a win-win-win. I need you to look at my power of attorney. I need you to fix it so my spouse doesn't lose half their Social Security when I die. And I want an easy check. If they tell you those 4 things in 75 minutes, what do you have? What do you have? Why would you say nothing? I don't get it. I've got 2 or 3 people say nothing. I'm confused. Because I got a lot of people saying the right thing, which is an appointment. See, so the 75 minutes is the hour and 15 minutes it takes you to do the outside the box. And how many times are they going to tell you, in a outside the box, is everybody in the room supposed to tell you, I need to see you for a win-win-win? Yeah, that's right, Barry. They need to say 3 or 4 times each. So every person in the room is going to say, I need to see you for a win-win-win. Then everybody in the room is going to say, I need to have you look at my power of attorney. Then everybody in the room is going to say, I need you to make sure that myself or my spouse doesn't lose half their money if one of us dies and loses a Social Security check. And I need them to say, I want an easy check or an extensive check, either one I'm happy with. So if they say that if they tell you 3 or 4 times, all individually, what are they going to do at the end of that outside the box? Schedule a meeting, John, exactly. So that 90% of them are going to schedule a meeting. Now, we can't do anything about that 10% except make an example of them. So if you can do these 2 things, and if you can get the client to say these things at the 21-point checklist meeting and these things at the event, what have you just gotten? What have you just turned or created? The Midas touch. So as many clients as you want, you're going to be able to bring on. So we've had a lot. We're nearing the end of the winter, spring season for events. So I've listened to tons of, and Jeff has listened to tons of outside the boxes. So this season, again, we've had about half the people getting 80% plus appointment ratios. And again, I've never seen this kind of appointment ratio before, and I've been doing events and seminars for the last 17 years. I've never seen people consistently get 80% plus appointment ratios. But that's half of those people are getting that. And half of them are still getting 30 to 50% appointment ratios. So half of them are getting 30 to 50%. So half of them are getting 90% of the people, on average 80% to move or to schedule an appointment, but half are not. So what's the difference between the half of the advisors that are seeing 80% plus appointment ratios and the other half are seeing the more typical 30 to 50% appointment ratios? Because remember, first of all, guys, does it cost you any more to get an 80% appointment ratio versus a 30 or 50% appointment ratio? Does it cost you any more? So we need to figure out, what, for the people who are not doing this, what is going on with them. Well, when we listen to tapes, it's pretty apparent. And when they listen to their tapes and we point things out, they're pretty, John's got it, why action questions, exactly. So what's the difference is why action questions is one of the things, and a few other things as well, which we'll talk about. So, and I would say what it really comes down to is this. Don't practice until you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong. So I've had guys send me tapes, and they were perfect. So they did the lunch and learn with their current clients, and to make sure that they were hitting on all cylinders, and they sent me a beautiful outside the box. It was awesome. And then guess what? They go to a public event, and what happens? You know, the people were just a slight, you know, they're strangers. They don't know you. So that people may be slightly less cooperative, and guess what happens to the advisor? They forget the mini closes. Yeah, they don't drill down on the why action questions. They kind of panic. Exactly, Eric. They panic and don't do what they're supposed to do. And then guess what happens? You know, they're still getting 30 to 50% appointment ratios, but that's, hey, guys, it costs you no more to get 80% appointment ratios or 100% appointment ratios as it does to get 30 or 50. So don't practice until you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong. I know the guys that have gotten 80 to 100% appointment ratios, those are the guys that have practiced it 20, 25, 30 times before the actual event. Now, I'll tell you straight out, I've had some of those guys that got 80 or 100% appointment ratios, they took 2 or 3 months off because of the November, December, the winter, and then they did another one, and they thought they didn't need to practice. They just went and reviewed it 2 or 3 times, and guess what happened to them? After taking 2 or 3 months off, they said, well, I pretty much know this. I had such a great response. I was very, very good last year, so I obviously got it, and that's right, it fell off. Poo-poo, exactly, John, poo-poo. So you know what? You got to be awesome right before. You can't just – here's the thing. We live in an environment where being good enough with an event is not good enough. You got to be what? You got to be great, okay? So you have the tools to be great, but you got to practice them. You can't just go in and just wing it. You can't be just familiar with the event. Because here's the thing: will the content get you appointments, guys? Yeah, 30 to 50%. The content will get you 30 to 50% of the people to make appointments with you. Being great at delivering the content, that's what gives you an 80 or 100% appointment ratio. So hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I tell you what, it drives me bananas, and you guys have probably known me long enough now. When somebody says, "Oh no, I'm great at presenting. I'm great at presenting. So give me something." Guys, it doesn't matter if you're great at presenting. This has to be presented in a specific way in order for you to have the kind of results we're talking about. So practice makes perfect. The more you practice it, the more perfect you're going to be. So what kind of things should you be practicing? Well, here's the things I want you to practice. First of all, we want crowd what? Crowd participation. Crowd participation. In fact, Chris says crowd participation. And in fact, do I even want crowd participation? What's it even better than crowd participation? See if somebody gets that. Enthusiasm, engagement, I go along with all that. And I guess what I'm looking for is we don't even want the crowd to participate. We want individuals. Yeah, each person, Dale. Each individual, exactly, everybody's getting it now. So crowd participation, it has to be happening. And you can't be doing this. So most of the guys that tell me they're great presenters, guess what? How good do they do? When they tell me they're a great presenter, How good do they do? Let's see if we can get that one. When they tell me they're great, they don't do very well. Why don't they do very well? Because they're great presenters. Yeah, they're preaching, teaching, telling, and selling. They're great presenters. And guess what they get on their evaluation forms at the end? Awesome presentation, terrific presentation, best presentation I've seen all year. Guys, when you hear best presentation, I go, uh-oh, I know what's going to happen, which is a lot of appointments or not very many appointments. When you get a bunch of great presentation comments on the evaluation sheet, yeah, that's right, Todd, you're going to get low appointments. Why? Why would being a great presenter, why would people think great presentation, why would that make people not, why would there be an indication that people were not going to make appointments, not engaged? Yeah, well, they missed the whole point. Yeah, presenting, selling, Barry says, not engaged. Yeah, well, here's the thing. They were entertained, but they weren't what? See, I don't want them to say great presentation. I'm going to say, holy cow, I didn't know there were these problems with power of attorney. Holy cow, I didn't know there was a possible way to get long-term care without premiums. If they say that, then what do I know I have? Yeah, motivated to act, Bert, exactly. Moved, Dino, exactly. So don't do this. They got to be telling you. See, I want them to be good presenters. I don't want to be a good presenter. I want them to be good presenters. They need to be doing the presenting. So how do we get them to present? How do we set it up initially to make sure that they're going to be presenting instead of us? How do we do that? What tool do we have? Right at the very beginning, what do we use? Well, Y-action is how we get them to make appointments, but how do we get them gifts? Michael got it. So throw them the money. So we use gifts. So some people use candy. I use the little Sacagawea dollar coins or folded dollar bills. And you do. Guess when I give out all of that money? Do I give it out equally during the whole time period, or when do I give out all the money? Right up front. Right up front. Exactly right. So, and the other thing you could do too is you can say, listen, folks, this may be a little bit different. Right up front, you can say this may be a little bit different presentation that you normally have. Isn't that? I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions. Obviously, we're doing riddles. We're doing optical illusions. This is going to be a back and forth. So I want to encourage you to make sure that you're talking. So Barry asked, how many people do you want? Because of that, yeah, you want to have 25 people or less. And I would tell you that the people that get 100% appointment ratios are people with 15% or less. It's capable of getting an 80% appointment ratio if you have 25% or less. If you get higher than 25, it becomes very difficult. So, and we're going to talk, or make sure I bring that back up when we start talking about it. Yeah.
And for a room of like 30 people, Mike, how many coins or dollar T-shirts are you giving out?
I'd probably 30. I try to get one in everybody's hand. Yep, I try to get one in everybody's hand. So here's the thing. Let them know up front this is going to be participatory, and encourage them with little gifts up front. Because when they go to these things, when they've gone, when they go to church, when they go to adult education classes, when they go to anything, are they ever encouraged to speak? No, they're supposed to listen. So they go in there thinking, I'm just going to go listen to this guy. You got to let them know up front that this is going to be different. We're going to have fun. We're going to be all shouting things out. We're going to be participating in this. Your answer is as good as mine. That's the kind of attitude you want to go in with. Does that make sense? You got to let them know, hey, let's talk. We're going to have a great time today. So that brings up the next thing, which is what to talk about on a first date. I'm going to ask you a question. Is this what you want to talk about on the first date? Hey, are you looking for a partner to have children with? Is that what we should be talking about on the first date? So only if you don't want a second date. So the thing is at this event, should we be hinting at all that we're looking for a partner to have children with, that we're looking for a client to manage their money with? Should we let them know that that's on our agenda at all? Not at all. That's right, Bert. Not at all. See, because the thing is, the people with money, and here's where when I'll listen, when I'll talk to a guy that maybe only got a 30 or a 50% appointment ratio, and then when he sits down with them, they all tend to be people with no money. So what's that tell you? So the 30 or 50%, only 30 or 50% of people made appointments, and most of those people, maybe half of them didn't have money. So what does that tell you? Why is it the people that made appointments are the people with no money? Yeah, they're looking for miracles. I'd agree with that. Barry's got it. You're not appealing to the affluent. In fact, you're chasing the affluent away. Why? What are you saying that's chasing the affluent away? Why do people with money not want to make an appointment with you? What are the reasons people with money don't want to make an appointment with you? They think they're going to be sold. Exactly, Barry. They think you're going to try to tell them that you have a better place for your money. And let me ask you a question. In the last 5 years, have these people done pretty well with their money? So are they looking for a better place for their money? No. They think we're going to be trying to replace their advisor. Has their advisor, via their investments, done pretty well for them in the last 5 years? And Barry says they're fat, dumb, and happy. I agree. They're all fat, dumb, and happy. So us trying to convince them that their advisor or Wall Street or their investments are bad is going to be what? People with money are going to say, oh, whoa, I see this guy's game. I'm not making an appointment. So the first thing we have to make sure we're doing is we have a very, very fun time. And we're not about getting at their assets or anything. We're very clear about that. And this is one place where it tends to come up is the funny math. And at the end of the funny math, a lot of you guys have gotten much better at this now. What's the point of the funny math, guys? What's the point of this slide? What's the point of this slide? Let's see if a lot of you guys know it's a trick question, so nobody's going to answer me. So I've got get their attention, illusion of average rate of return. Averages can be misleading. See, you're right on the edge of what I don't want you to do. Wall Street advertises misleading information. Wall Street plays with figures. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, and it's not about that. Guys, don't mention Wall Street. Don't mention their investments. Don't mention their advisor. Don't mention their accounts. Guys, this is simply an optical illusion. This is simply an optical illusion. All we're going to say at the end of this is to say, yeah, so, average rate of return said 25%. We thought that was good. And then in the end, we find out when we put real money that the 11% rate of that the 10% was better because we got an 11% rate of return. So this is an example of people looking where? Just like with magic, looking at the wrong thing. And then we move on. Don't mention Wall Street. Don't mention their accounts. If you mention Wall Street, their accounts, if there's any even whiff that this is about us trying to say that their investments are bad and they're getting the wool pulled over their eyes, what are people with money going to do? And in fact, they're going to back away. They're right. And we're early on here. We're like 15 minutes in. So guess what? What are they going to do for the rest of the outside the box? They're going to be turned off completely. So if you even have had guys say, you know what, Mike, I'm just taking this slide out because it's too tempting for me to start yakking about how people are getting taken advantage and Wall Street is fooling people. It's too tempting. I'm just going to take this out. So I like it, but you got to use it the right way. But if you're tempted to even bring up Wall Street, their broker, their accounts, how they're being tricked, just take the slide out. Does that make sense? I like the slide in there when it's used right, but if you're even tempted to use it wrong, just take it out. Does that make sense, everybody? Can I get some yeses? You can do a pretend end on this one. I'm not sure what you mean, Bob. So so the big thing, and we had it earlier, like you're presenting on Diddy. I'm not sure. So what are they thinking? What is that? What do you mean by that, Matt? So what are they thinking? Help me out with that, Matt. Oh, I think I don't care what they're thinking as long as they what? Don't know that I'm thinking what? I don't really care what they're thinking when they see this. What I care about is what they think I'm talking about. So if they think I'm talking about their money instead of an optical illusion, if they think I'm talking about their advisor instead of an optical illusion, if they think I'm talking about the fact that they're getting lied to by Wall Street instead of an optical illusion, that's a problem. Whatever they think is going to be fine, because then it's whose thoughts, guys? Is it my agenda if I'm not saying those things? That's theirs. So that's fine if they jump to that conclusion, but I can't even hint that it's my conclusion. Does that make sense? So a lot of people said earlier, one of the things that the 50% that are having struggling with is the why action questions. The why do you need to act now? So the why action questions, and again, where do we do the why action questions, guys? We do it once at the end of the win-win-win. We do it once at the end of the power of attorney. We do it once at the end of the Social Security. We do it once at the end of the easy or extensive checks. So we're going to do it 4 times. So the why action questions are, why are you going to take action? So first thing it says, what are you going to do? When are you going to do it? Who are you going to do it with? What are you going to do? When are you going to do it? Who are you going to do it with? And who do we ask those questions to? Who do we ask those questions to, guys? Everyone. So John, help me out. Everybody's getting everyone. Everybody's saying everyone. So when I say, just so everybody knows, when I say everyone, if there's 12 people in the room, how many times am I going to ask why action questions? At least how many times? 12. Got it. Good, 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 good. Not 4. No, 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 not 4. 12. 12, 12, 12. 4, not 4. Every single person gets a why action question. And I'll even go, oh, I see what you're saying, Fern. You're saying 4 times during the whole event. No, I'm sorry. I'm asking just one at the end of just the win-win-win. How many why action questions would I ask? So I understand what you're saying, Fern. So at the end of the why action questions, how many would we have? If there's 12 people in the room, I'm going to get 12. If there's 25 people in the room, how many am I going to get? How many questions am I going to ask if there's 25 people in the room? Yeah, 13, 14, yeah, something like that. I'm going to try, Matt and John, to get 25. Now, I had a question here. Do people pick up on it? Yes, they do if you do it what, guys? Will people pick up on it? Yes, if you do it wrong. Not too much if you do it wrong. Now, those of you that have listened to Michelle's tape that's on the website, does she do it wrong or does she do it right? Do people pick up on her doing it? She does it the right way, exactly. People don't pick up on her at all doing it. Why? Why don't they pick up on her doing it on that tape? Because they're having fun. She set the tone up front. We're having fun. It's participatory. And when it's fun and it's participatory and it's lighthearted, you roll right into it. So when advisors are having fun, the clients or the people at the event don't pick up on it at all. But here's where the people of the audience pick up on it, and here's where I've seen it go bad. Sometimes when when I listen to one of these the guys that got 30 or 50% appointment ratios, what happens is some of them have tried to do the why action questions, but the first time they try them at the win-win-win, guess what they get hit with? A wall. And so they try to do the why action questions. They ask the crowd, so what are you going to do? When are you going to do it? I don't even know if I had to do anything. Who are you going to do it with? Well, I don't know. I guess I'll go back and talk to my guy. So why are they getting those kind of answers? Why do you think they're getting those kind of answers? You're thinking. You got it, Bob. They're not asking the crowd. That's right, Rick. They're teaching. They're not engaging the crowd, Todd. Exactly right. Not enough engagement, Roy. So what they did is they were doing all the yakking. So they were telling people what they should think. With the win-win-win, they were telling people what they need to think, and they were telling what they need to do, and they're telling what they were telling, selling, preaching, teaching. So at the end, they would ask these why action questions, and people would what? Resist. Because who had been telling them they needed to do all these things? Who had been telling them what they need to do? Who had been telling them when they need to do it? Who had been telling them who they need to do it with? The advisor. If the advisor says all that, what are people naturally going to do? Push back. But here's the thing. When everybody in that room has been telling you that, yeah, I would want long-term care for free. Yeah, it's too expensive. They're screaming out all the answers all the way through this. Is it very hard for them to say what they're going to do? If they were the ones that explained for the last 10 minutes why the win-win-win makes sense, way more than a money market, way more than a savings account. If they've been explaining to you for the last 10 minutes, is it going to be very hard for them to tell you what they're going to do with their money markets or their savings account if they've been explaining to you for the last 10 minutes? Is that going to be very hard for them to say, oh, I'm going to move to a win-win-win? Is it going to be hard for them to say, I'm going to do it right now? Because they've been explaining to you why it's silly to have money in a savings account. They've been explaining to you why it's silly to have it in a money market. They've been explaining to you why they need to move it right now. It's a natural flow, right, Barry? So when you do it that way, you're asking these questions. It's just an extenuation of the same conversation they've already been having with you. They've been explaining to you why the win-win-win makes sense. So by the time you ask the why action questions, it doesn't seem any different. It seems like it's just a natural extension of the conversation. But if you're telling, selling, preaching, or teaching, guess what these sound like? They sound like you're backing them into a corner. And what are they going to do when you back them into a corner? Because why would you tell them a win-win-win is great? Why would you tell them that their money market and savings account needs to be in a win-win-win? Why would you tell them those things? Because you have an agenda. You want to sell it to them. But when they're telling you these things, they're the ones with the agenda. Do you get that? Now, I have had some guys really do a good job of trying to do the why action questions, but they've missed it by this much. And what they've missed is this. They get people to tell them why something is important. So they say, so why is the win-win important? Why is it important that you address this? Why is it important? Guys, important questions and questions about importance, those are awesome. I love questions about importance. But is the questions about importance, is that a why action question? Do you see anywhere in here where I'm saying, well, is it important? No, I'm saying, what are you going to do? When are you going to do it? Who are you going to do it with? Why are you going to do it? But when you say, is it important? Why is this important? Guys, when I go to the doctor's office, if I weigh 300 pounds or my cholesterol is at 280, and the doctor explains to me I need to eat differently, and then he said, do you understand why this is important? I say, yeah, I understand why it's important. What does that mean I'm going to do? So he says, hey, Mike, yeah, maybe eat more. I'm probably nothing, yeah. Why? Because all I said, hey, yeah, I've admitted it's important. What does he need to ask me in order to make sure I'm going to do something? So important is a good start, but then you got to say, so what are you going to do about it? Well, I guess I've got to start eating better. When are you going to start eating better? Well, I guess I better start right now. Well, how are you going to start then? Well, I'm going to go to Weight Watchers right after this. Yeah, who are you going to do it with? Well, like I said, Weight Watchers. See, the why action is not about important. Important questions are good, but it's not a why action question. So guess why guys like to ask the important, why is this important question instead of the why action questions? Why do they like to ask the why is this important question instead of the why action question? What do these all involve? It's easier, Barry. It's easier to ask the important questions. But all of these, what are you going to do? All of these are commitments, right, Barry? These require commitments, which means if you don't do it right, you might get a what? Afraid of a nose. Afraid of no's. Guys, when do I want to know? When do I want to hear a no? The win-win-win is about 25 minutes into the event. When do I want to hear a no? I want to hear it 20 minutes in. Why? 25 minutes in. Why? If I hear it at 20, 25 minutes in, I know I have time to what? Fix it. Boy, I missed it. I need to turn around. I need to figure out what I'm doing wrong here and fix it. The last thing I want to do is wait till the very end of the event to figure it out. Now, with these why action questions, again, I've had people say, I'm listening to them, and they only ask 2 or 3 why action questions. And they'll say, well, the room wasn't conducive to it. Well, figure it out. Guys, I don't care if the room was long and narrow. So what? I don't care how the room's set up. You need to ask these why action questions or you're not going to get appointments. Does that make sense? So where can you find out exactly what kind of why action questions? Well, we have a full page of why action questions for powers of attorney, full page of why action questions for the win-win-win, a full page of why action questions for the Social Security on the website under the scripts and audio training for the Outside the Box Magic. Or listen to my training videotape where I'm using a whole bunch of them. Okay, and if you have any questions whatsoever about why action questions, call Jeff, call myself, we can help you out. And again, you're not doing them to the group. See all these people here? I'm going to talk to the guy in the upper left-hand corner with the yellow hat. I'm going to ask him. I'm going to ask the gal with the white hat next to him. I'm going to ask the guy in the sunglasses next to him. I'm going to ask the guy in the middle in the green shirt. I'm going to ask the lady with the funny hat up to his left with the funny. I'm going to ask everybody in the crowd the why action questions. I'm not going to, because if I ask the crowd, so what are you going to do? And they say, we're going to get this fixed. All together, what is that worth? If they all shout that out together, what's that worth? 0. Exactly. 0. Does that make sense? So I'm going to make a personal invitation to everybody in that room. I'm going to do it 3 times. Once after the win-win-win, once after the power of attorney, once after the Social Security. And guys, learn the win-win-win word for word. If you do that win-win-win word for word, the same way you did the big 3, the same way you did the power of attorney, the beneficiaries, and the titling, if you learn the win-win-win for the outside-the-box word for word, guess what everybody in there is going to tell you at the end of the win-win-win? 25 minutes in, what are they all going to tell you they're going to do? They want one, and they're going to meet with you immediately. If you do it, now again, learning it word for word means how many statements are you going to make during the win-win-win portion of the outside the box? How many statements are you going to make? 0. Who's going to make all the statements for us? The crowd. The crowd's going to explain to you with the Socratic selling method, A is greater than B, B is greater than C, C is greater than D, D is greater than E, then obviously A is greater than F. They're going to make the whole sale for you. Does that make sense? So learn that backwards and forwards. Learn to do the power of attorney in Technicolor. I mean, we have a tape on the site with John doing that very, very well, making that come alive so they understand what the problem with the power of attorney is. And then the icing on the cake, we're going to get them to tell us at the extensive check, easy check one more time why they need to make appointments with us. Now, the one thing that I'll tell you is, guys, with any movie, any play, and any seminar or event, the climax has to be the most exciting part. But too often, especially when I listen to these ones with 30% appointment ratio, 50% appointment ratio, guess what happens to the close? What happens to the energy for the close? What happens to the action with what happens to their voice? What happens to their speed? It's rushed or blown, right? Either one, rushed or blown. Either they are tired, and they'll say, yeah, I got kind of tired by the end. Dudes, take vitamins then. Don't get tired before the close. Or if it's rushed, what do we do if it's rushed, guys? You got to slow down, calm down. Don't worry. You got to trust the process at the close. It's got to be the climax. That's right, Barry. Barry's got it. If it's going too long, cut the Social Security. Cut the Social Security. We get 10% of the people who make appointments for Social Security. 90% of the people make appointments for the win-win-win and the power of attorney. So if it's too long, cut the Social Security. Cut it, cut it, cut it. Rather than rush. Do not rush the close. Do not. The whole reason we have them there is to get appointments. So do not rush the close. Does that make sense? And you got to ask the yes/no question. So how we're going to do that, remember, is when you're going around, when you're doing the close, you're saying check, extensive check or easy check in the evaluation form. You need to actually go around, you or your assistant, go around, move around the room, actually point on their forms. Don't point at the screen. Walk around, point on the forms. Tell them exactly, show them on their own individual form where they need to check that. Do you get that? Move around the room and tell them, here's where you check it. Check it here. Bob, here. Mary, check it right there. I'm telling them, check it, check it, check it. Check a box. Check a box. Does that make sense? And then when I ask them to put the date on there, Monday, Thursday, Wednesday, the time that would be best for them, I'm actually walking around and say, right here, right? Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, here, right? I'm moving around the room, telling them exactly what to do. Does that make sense? I'm not telling them up in front of the room. I'm not pointing at the board saying, here on the evaluation form, right here. No, I'm pointing on their physical forms, telling them what to do. Why do you think I'm telling them to do that, guys? Why do you think I'm telling them to do that? Engagement, right, Todd? When people check things off, when people, it's persuasion, it's psychology. When people commit to just checking a box, the likelihood they're going to do something goes way up. If they actually physically write down Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever the days you decide, now it's even gone up even further. And it's also giving you an indication of who you're going to go around and make those appointments with. Does that make sense? So because of, now, if you don't know how to do this, go to the training video and listen to how I close the event. Listen to how I close the event. That's how you need to do it. Now, the one thing that can screw that up is a restaurant staff that gets in your way. So what do you need to do with your restaurants? Make sure that they are going to what? Follow your directions upon pain of death. I can't tell you how many times guys have had wonderful, that doesn't happen all the time, but probably once a month I hear about somebody having an event it was just going perfectly, and then the staff came in and screwed it up by not following directions. So make sure you let them know what's supposed to happen. And again, guys, why are we feeding them? Just so we recall, why do we feed people? Ah, no. Somebody said nice. No. Fun. No. Why do we feed them? Slow them down, Michael. Not to get them to come. No. You can get them to come without eating, but if you do not feed them, how quickly will they leave? It's not to get them to show up. They'll come to this thing without food. But if you feed them, guess what? It slows them down. You can actually go around and make appointments. Otherwise, they're just going to take off. So then, great. Hey, I saved myself a meal. Only got one appointment. Terrific. I'd rather feed them a meal, spend $500 on a meal, and then have the chance to what? Go around and get all the appointments. You don't have an event to get people there. You have an event to get appointments. So you got to prevent avalanches. What I mean by that is people who say, if one person says no, everybody in the room could decide they want to come to an appointment. But if one guy says no, what can happen? If one person says no, what can happen? An avalanche of no's. We have to prevent that. So here's the thing. If somebody says no, now if you listen to the close, we avoid those no's because we only go to people that have written Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever days you have on top of the evaluation form. We go to those people and we skip the people who haven't written anything up at the top. If you want to know how we do that, go to the training video because we're running out of time. But if somebody says no, what will I say to this person? Am I going to let them off the hook? If somebody says no, I'm going to let them off the hook. No, I am not. Because here's the thing. If you've ever been to a comedy show and somebody starts heckling the comedian, and the comedian takes the heckler to town, just crushes the heckler, whose side is the crowd on? The hecklers or the comedians? The comedian side. Now, I've also seen shows where the heckler gets under the comedian's skin and the heckler starts winning. Then who does everybody in the crowd get on side? Whose side do they get on then? The heckler side. We are, you know what? We don't go for the underdog, do we? We go with the person who's winning. So you do not, when somebody says no, you don't move on. If you move on, what happens? If somebody says no and you move on, what happens? That's when you get what? The avalanche of no's. So when somebody says no, you take them to task. Now, if we've been having a good time, guys, if we've been having a good time with the event, how much can I lean on them? How much can I twist them? If we've been having a good time, I can lean on them hard. Very right. I can lean on them really hard. Because if we're having a good time, we can have all sorts of fun. I say things like, Mary, are you going to let John get away with that? He must have the bigger 401k because he's saying he doesn't want to come in and make sure his power of attorney is working, and he doesn't care about losing. He knows that as a guy, he's likely to kick it first, and he doesn't care about losing that half of that Social Security. Mary, would you tell him you guys got to come in and see me? Can I do that if we've been having a good time? Can I do that with a big smile on my face? Now, am I really talking to that couple? Am I really talking to that couple? Do I really give a rat's patootie whether they make an appointment or not? No. I'm just letting what? The next person know what they're in for if they say what? No. They're going to get the same thing. So let's face face it, if you do this right, are most people going to say yes? Yes, they are going to say yes. But if one person says no, they can screw that all up. So I'm not going to let them screw it up. So I'm going to make an example of them and basically make them understand, hey, you don't want long-term care insurance for free. You just told me a half hour ago you did. Hey, you're not worried about your power of attorney. Apparently you could care less about getting your husband's 401k when something like this happens. Oh, and also you're so rich you don't care about losing half your Social Security. Now I'm going to do that with a smile on my face because if I'm having fun, guys, have you ever seen videos or have you ever seen a guy when they can say all sorts of things with a smile on their face and the people don't even realize that they're getting made fun of? Have you ever seen that? That's what we're going to do here. I'm not going to take no for an answer because if they take no and just roll over, guess what? There's going to be more no's coming. I don't want that to happen. I want those yeses. What if they say, I'm going to be going on vacation? What am I going to say? Awesome. That's the very reason you want. They say they're going on vacation. What am I going to say? Awesome. That's the very reason you needed to what? Do it now. Exactly, Mary. Do it now because on vacation, what can happen? Hey, I think you have a great vacation. But, you know, what can happen on vacation? When do we need to get this stuff done? Chop, chop. Don't take no. Don't take no. What if they say, I don't have my calendar? I say, oh, terrific. Oh, no, I get the, hey, I don't have my calendar. I don't know what's going on next week. Can I ask you a question? When do you bowl? Do you bowl? Belong to Kiwanis? Do you have a Bible study meeting? Why am I asking all those things, guys? Why am I asking all those things? I'm going to find out what their regularly occurring events are. And then once I say, so would you have any other regularly occurring bowling league, golf league, Bible study? And so I'm just going to go through all sorts and then say, so those are the times that we know we can't meet. That means we have a pretty good chance that any of the other times will work. So let's try Thursday. What would work better, Thursday morning or Friday afternoon? Do you get that? Don't take no for an answer. And I don't have time to go through the rest of the things as an example of why we need to do this, but don't take no for an answer. Because here's the thing, guys. If you watch the Truth or Consequences video, any one of the 21 things could cause them, their family, or their pocketbook severe harm. The Survivor's Guide, not having one of those done could tear their family asunder. Quality of Life Directive, same thing. Not having umbrella or the correct umbrella, unwind 30 years worth of work in today's world. I mean, the car accidents happen all the time. So here's the thing, guys. If we really believe in the 21-point checklist, and we really are human beings that care about other human beings, why should we say to never take no for an answer? How many out of the 50,000 people that we have on tape having 21s, how many of them were mad that they did a 21? No one. How many were ecstatic that they did the 21? All of them. So how much are we going to push to make people come in to see us? Do we sell them anything at the 21? We don't sell anything at the 21. So what are they out? We cannot take no for an answer. And if you do the why action questions right, you won't need to worry about that. But if you get into a situation where you didn't do the why action questions right, you got to twist, man. That's why if you're having a good time, it allows you to really put the screws to somebody with a smile on your face to make that appointment. Does that make sense? But again, in the close on the training video, you hear how we try to avoid even coming into that, because if we see somebody didn't write a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday at the top, we skip them, pretend like we have ADD, go talk to the waiter for a second, then come back, pretend like we lost our place, and go to the next person that has that written down. But if somebody does say no, don't take no for an answer. Am I completely 100% clear on that? Anybody not clear on that? And that's the thing about having fun. If you're having fun, people think it's more fun when you put the screws to somebody. They think it's more fun when you put the screws to somebody. If you've been telling, selling, preaching, or teaching, and at the end you put the screws to somebody, everybody's going to go get on the client side and go after you. But if everybody's been having fun the whole time and you put the screws to somebody, they think it's just part of the more fun. Make sense? Well, somebody says, what happens if they push back? What do we do if they push back, guys? See if you've been listening to Friday calls for the last, gosh, good job, Chris. You get on their side, and then you keep pushing. You get on their side, you keep pushing. Now, am I going to go for an hour? No. I'm going to make sure that everybody in that room knows that that person who's saying no is a complete blithering what? Idiot. Once everybody knows that they're an idiot, then what? Then I can move on, because I'm not trying to get an appointment with that guy. I'm just making sure everybody doesn't want to be an idiot that doesn't want to be an idiot in the room does what? Make an appointment. Well, Barry, that's a silly question. Why doesn't everybody get 100%? What have I been talking about for the whole hour? Why doesn't everybody get 100%, guys? They're doing it wrong. Exactly, Barry. So you answer your own question. So, guys, if they tell you 4 times individually they're going to make appointments with you, guess what they're going to do? Make appointments with you. If you take shortcuts, somebody said shortcuts. Who said that? Yeah, Bert. If you take shortcuts, guess what? If you ask 3 people why action questions instead of everybody in the room, well, then guess what that's going to do to your closing ratio? It's going to affect it. Does that make sense to everybody? Do it right, they can't tell you no. Do it wrong, you get more no's. And if you get more no's, don't take no for an answer if you truly believe the 21-point checklist is as powerful as it is, because these people need it. But the most important thing is have a great time. Have a great time. Yeah, here's a question from somebody. Do I ask everybody each time? Guys, do I ask everybody each time, guys? I had a question. Let's see. Here's some answers to that. Yes. I'm getting yeses. Yes. Everybody each time. Because if everybody in that room tells me 4 times they're going to make an appointment with me, guess what? Everybody in the room is going to make an appointment with me. If I ask them once, then I got a what? A 1 out of 4 chance of them making an appointment with me. Everybody each time. That's why you want how many people in a room? 50 people in the room or 25 people in the room? Make sense? Good. Well, I appreciate you being on the call today. I hope this makes sense to you. I apologize for yelling at you guys that I yelled at, but guys, there is no reason. I've never seen the power of an event like this. There's no reason you shouldn't be getting 80 to 100% appointment ratios with this. And if you're not, you need to immediately get on the phone with Jeff or myself to figure out why that's not happening, okay? Make sense? Super duper. Have a good one, man.